back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. We are doing the 12 Days of Old Foe, and I'm sitting down with Tyler and Josh, and we are on day 8, I believe. Is that right, Josh?
On the 8th day of Old Foe, Statesman gave to me an Old Forester Statesman 95 proof bourbon. And I believe that this is the bottle that was in the movie The Kingsman, the Golden Circle, if I have it right. So what I'm going to recommend to you guys is download it, rent it, get it from Netflix or get it from Hulu or whoever has it. Watch this and enjoy a glass at the same time as you're watching the movie if you like just stupid humor.
Channing Tatum and a little bit of bourbon. And is it Netflixing and chilling with that? I
don't think it's on Netflix, but it is. I'm not going to Netflix and chill with you. I'm sorry.
I didn't say with me. I said, is this a Netflix and chill bottle / movie combo? That's
I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun to tell everybody to go watch the movie with it and drink it. There's probably no real association to it other than they do drink the bottle in the movie. They do parts of it supposedly take place in Kentucky. And they make whiskey references. I think somebody's name is Whiskey. One of the agents, they call him Whiskey in this movie. It's been maybe 6 or 8 months since I watched it. My wife always makes me turn it off because she thinks it's stupid. So I watch it and drink.
It is a corny comedy, but it is what it is, right? So
all right, so we got through all that. Let's talk about the whiskey.
All right.
So this one's been around now about 3 years. Is that about right? 2017?
It has, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that started out, of course, Campbell Brown, the president of Old Forester, tells the story best, but essentially he had a cousin that lives over in the UK who was having lunch with the director of the Kingsman after the first very successful movie and talking about the next chapter, how they're going to America and these super spy agencies that have supposedly existed for a long, long time and have been working with one another, that they were going to bourbon country in the next movie. And she says, well, I have a cousin that works in the bourbon industry. Maybe you should talk to him. And that's how the partnership got started. I think they were originally looking at Jack Daniel's as kind of an iconic brand, but turns out Old Forester being the only brand that was still, would have been in production before Prohibition, well before Prohibition, and still is after, a brand that these two super spies could have been sharing all along. So we, the brand kind of fit the bill. And it's been a fun partnership. I think it was just started out as kind of a one-time thing. It gained a following. Chris Morris, our master distiller, if you haven't seen the movies, as Josh said, it's great action, it's great comedy. Rent the first one so you know the story, and then rent the second one which Statesman is featured in.
Absolutely, you got to start with
it's
the
like
first one.
Quentin Tarantino meets James Bond, and there's a bunch of rough and tumble characters. So our master distiller decided he was going to make, in essence, a rough and tumble whiskey, if you will. So Statesman, it's like Jack Daniel's single barrel. It comes from the highest, the top floors of our warehouses, highest, hottest areas where the bourbon gets the most aggressive interaction with the barrel. So it draws out a little more tannin, draws out a little more spice. This definitely has a little more attitude to it. It doesn't have as much time for that white dog bite of its youth to kind of settle down. So, yeah, it's got a little more grip on the back end. Just a rough and tumble, riotous, rowdy bourbon that, gained a following and is now a permanent part of our lineup.
So what's the age on the Statesman?
Between 4 and 5.
Between 4 and 5 years?
I believe, yeah.
Okay, so it's one of the younger varieties.
There could be some 6 in there. You never know because we do it to taste, but yeah.
I think I'm picking up a bunch of spice in the nose on this, but once you start to sip it, I get this leathery feel to it, and I don't know, it's a little bit of oily, leathery. Those two probably go hand in hand for me, but different than some of the other whiskeys we have sampled.
Like Old Spice and leather. I call this one Kissing John Wayne.
Kissing John Wayne.
Old Spice and leather.
That would be something Kira would say, Kissing John Wayne.
That's interesting. So my wife bought me a new aftershave, and I haven't been shaving much, but she bought me a new aftershave, and it's a vanilla and bourbon, and it made me think of it. It's I can't think of the brand.
This is the one that vanilla really comes out for me, especially on the nose and then on the finish.
Yeah.
You can find vanilla in any bourbon, but it's really just
some are just
there.
more pronounced, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny, and Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
You're wrong.
We were actually, I think, one of the few people to actually try this before it, I think, technically hit the market because of our special connection to someone that works for Brown-Forman, and we did a tour of your all's actual campus here in Louisville in 2017 before it was released, and this was the bourbon they brought out for us all to try at our leadership event.
That's right. Nice. So I want to say it was in 17.
Yep.
The movie was in the process of being released, if I remember right, or had just been released. And we got to sample this at the Brown-Forman facility. And it's a good staple of Old Forester at this point. There is nothing wrong with this whiskey. No.
That was the best day for me because literally I sat at the table with 6 people that did not drink, so I got all 6 samples before we left the Brown-Forman table that day. And then we got on the bus and spent the rest of the day. It was for what was it? I think it was Economy Day, and Brown-Forman was the host for the day. So we had a young lady that works for Brown-Forman, Kirsten.
We're not going to throw her name out there.
I'm not going to throw the full name out there, but I think she works in your all's HR group or something like that. But
she's great. She hadn't hooked me up with free bottles, but she's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but she hooked us up with a great experience, was able to come over. We spent the day at Brown-Forman, and we walked through your all's corporate headquarters and walked through and all that stuff. So it was a great experience, and we were able to taste this fine whiskey before it ever hit the market.
That's very cool.
Somebody, I think they gave away a bottle that day. Somebody won a bottle.
Kashaita.
And I ended up getting a bottle of, I want to say, Jack Daniel's Honey. I still have an unopened bottle of Jack Daniel's Honey sitting at my house because I don't drink honey whiskey. But anyways, it's sitting
hot
there.
toddies if you ever get a flu or the cold. Yeah, I mean,
well, here we are in the middle of COVID crap. I probably ought to pull that up.
Yeah,
yeah. Just warm it up.
Not,
you could probably put up with a little bit of this Bundaberg spice.
There you go.
And then heat it up in a crock pot.
Squeeze a lemon.
There you go.
So back to the whiskey. We digress. The whiskey is, it's got a little bite up front. Nothing too strong in the back. I don't know. Can you find this all across the continental U.S. pretty easily?
Should be able to. Yeah. Like you said, it started out as an offshoot, and it has become a staple of. Actually, we consider it part of the Whiskey Row series now. So, different label, but in that same vein, same style of production and whatnot. So,
well, that's a good discussion.
Definitely part of the family.
So we've been talking through, and I can't remember if we talked about this on any of the other days because they're all spread out here a little bit. But the Whiskey Row series was one of the first tasting parties I had at my house pre-COVID. I had a group of buddies over, and I had the whole Whiskey Row series and Statesman, and that was one of the coolest things to do for me. And this was 2 years ago. I want to say shortly after 1910 had popped out, the Whiskey Row 1910, and to line these all up and to just talk through that and let people try it and say, no, that's different. No, here's what I think that is. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? That's the lowest proof one. I mean, and if I would have known, Old Forester, it probably fits right in there in that pack of 90, 93, 95. But like you said, it's a little more bold of a lower proof bourbon.
No, absolutely. I liked your description of it. You said it's kind of a scrappy, type whiskey. It's got some of that because it comes out of that higher tier of the warehouse system. So when you pull these, I mean, are they coming out of like K, H, those ones that are the synonymous, or the famous ones, I guess I would say, for Old Forester? Or?
Yeah, I mean, they're coming out of all 8 warehouses. And yeah, Jackie just had an article recently, and I don't know if it was me saying something, but we have gotten a lot of barrels out of K, and then we just released one called that K House, though. She says her favorite warehouse, though, by far is H. And, I've had a lot of great barrels from H, too. So,
and like that,
No.
Everything with a single barrel from Warehouse H is now
I know.
It'll be
falling off the
impossible to
shelves.
find.
Well, right, but no, we've had great single barrels at all the warehouses, so it really is done to taste. We're pulling from all 8 warehouses, and less than 100 barrels at a time, and that's where it's very hands-on and sensory between Jackie and Chris, and then our partners in the lab that are creating these expressions time and time again.
So when are we going to get a thief? And me, you, and Josh, and whoever else you want to bring, just kind of walk around in the warehouses, play around,
God, you keep pushing that button with him. He's going to tell you to leave.
I love barrel strength. You know me. I just want to try some stuff.
I know. Hopefully on the platform here soon, but typically you get tackled and arrested if you do that in a warehouse, and they don't like that.
So here we are, 8th day of Old Foe. This is I think it's the 8th day. The Statesman. This was a winner of the 2020 San Francisco World Spirits Competition silver medal, I think. If I did a little research on it, trying to be prepared for today, but a little bit different bottle, different label, no actual paper label on the front.
Beautiful bottle, yeah.
It's got that gold printed font on it just straight onto the bottle itself. 95 proof Statesman. Go get the Kingsman Circle or the Kingsman movies. Watch them. Have some whiskey. Enjoy it. Have a good time. 8th day of Old Foe, Whiskey Row, and whiskey gave me the 95 proof Statesman.
Absolutely. You can find us at bourbonbarreltalk.com. You can email us at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. You have Facebook, Twitter, all those good things, Instagram. I would recommend you hitting the subscribe button so that way you get our podcast instantly. As soon as they're hitting the market, they'll be downloaded and ready for you to listen to. This is Scott, Josh, and Tyler. We're signing off.
Peace.